my trajectory in comics. Well, I started drawing comics as a little boy, and I would make homemade photocopied comic books and sell them to my friends at school. And I did that as a little kid, and I did that as a teenager, and I did that in college and as an adult. And then I started working with small independent publishers, and then I started working with bigger publishers, and then publishers all over the world. I'm glad you think that Elf Cat is vivid and full of personality, because that's the trick, to find a character with the spark of life. And the way you do that, the way I do that, is I start with a blank page, and I do a lot of little drawings of characters, and then I look at them, and I'm like, there, that one, that's the one with the spark of life. That's the one that has stories. And then all you have to do is take your character, put them in a situation, and they do the things that they do, and they say the things that they say. And you don't even really have to write it. You just sort of follow along. You follow the character as he goes on his adventure. But in a way, the character is me, or at least, some aspect of my personality. So it's not just Elf Cat going on an adventure. It's me going on an adventure, and I get to live it in a well. If you say that Elf Cat is vivid, then I am vivid. I love to make things, and I really love to be creative, because there's a certain magic to making things and to being creative, and also because it's fun. It's fun. Just I feel like the more stuff I make, the more songs I write, the more comics I draw, the more I feel like I'm alive, and to just feel that creative energy boiling out of you. It's great. It's great. And it also the more you do it, the more it's in every aspect of your life, the easier it gets, and the better you are at it. So it's also kind of like exercising, exercising your creative brain and making it better. Elf Cat was first published in book form by Box Brown and his comic book company Retrofit. But that's not where it was first published. It was first published, I serialized it in my local weekly newspaper, 7 Days. So each week in the paper, I would present the next installment of the Elf Cat adventure. So each 2 pages in the book, each 2 facing pages, were one tall column in the newspaper. So that's a really interesting way to work, to serialize the story in weekly installments, and to have readers read it as you create it, and to not know where you're going. It's a different process. I don't do all my books that way. Some I plan very carefully. Elf Cat, I made up as I went along, and then I brought the book to Brian Brown at Retrofit, and Brian is great to work with. Um, he's an excellent cartoonist, so I respect him for that. And also, he's a very good friend. Uh, we talk on the phone often. I text him. We text each other every day. Start first thing in the morning. We text all day long until the evening. And yeah, he's great. Yeah, he's a really good friend. Thank you for noticing my lettering. Um, I I really want, in the same way I want the character to have a spark of life, I want the whole world to have that same spark of life, and I want the lettering to have that spark of life too. I want the whole thing um, to feel alive. Um, I you know I the characters, the setting, the dialogue, and the same way that you can convey emotion with the line work in the drawing of the character's face. You can convey emotion also in the way you've lettered the comic. Um, so it's all part of the same thing, and it can't be easy to try and mimic the way I letter. Um, but I think you've done a great job, and I really appreciate the effort. If you had used a font instead, um, that would kill a huge amount of the life and energy of the page. So thank you so much for doing such a great job of matching the energy of my lettering. I think my physical process of drawing a comic is pretty similar to most professional cartoonists. I start with a rough draft drawn in pencil, and then I do a more carefully drawn in pencil version, and then I do the final inks on top of that. I ink with a brush and India ink. Now, the problem with that process can be that as you refine it step by step, you suck the life out of it. So you have a vibrant, fluid first draft, and then your final thing is stiff and awkward. And I've worked very hard to keep that from happening. I want my final inked drawing to have the same spontaneous feel, the same gesture as the first rough draft. And I've trained very hard to make that possible, and I've gotten very good at it. There's a couple reasons why I like to draw simply. Um, for one reason, it's more pleasurable for me uh, to to draw simply. But also, I'm concerned about the reader. Um, if I have obviously labored over the drawing, you will feel that when you read the book. And I don't want you thinking about how hard it was for me to draw it. I want you to experience the story, um, to really feel like it's alive and living in your heart. I don't want you thinking about how hard it was for me to draw it. No way. Um, it takes a lot of work to get to that point. Uh, it takes a lot of practice to learn how to make that happen. If I could tell my younger cartoonist self anything to, to blow my mind, um, I would tell myself that people will love your comics. I never imagined that would be possible, that I would have readers all over the world. No, I didn't think that was possible. The other thing that I would tell my younger self is that you are going to be a great dad. I love being a dad. I was scared of it before it happened, but I love it and I'm good at it. So thank you. Thanks for asking me a bunch of questions. Thanks for caring about my books. Thanks for publishing my books in Brazil. Thanks for reading my books. Thanks for being super cool.